Hey everybody, welcome back to RV Miles. I'm Jason, and today I want to talk about sanitizing your RV's water system, a chore that far too few RVers tend to do. It's an important subject to me. I've covered several times over the years on the RV and camping news people that have contracted illnesses and have died from RV water systems, and I myself am prone to bacterial infection, so it's really important to me to keep our water system sanitized. And we do drink from our tank, but even if you don't drink from your tank, you probably shower, you probably wash your hands, you probably cook with some of the water in your RV's water system. So it's really important to sanitize your water system. It's not just the tank water, by the way, it's also the lines that run all the water throughout your system. So whether you're somebody that only uses water from the campground or not, you're gonna wanna sanitize your water system. In fact, if you're somebody that only uses water from the water spigot, you're probably never using your tank and it's getting really bad. So it is really important to sanitize your water system, and it's an easy chore to do. I'm going to take you through the process here. But first, I'm going to head off one of the questions that I know I'm going to get, because I bring this up on the podcast all the time and people invariably comment, why do I need to sanitize the water system in my RV? I don't sanitize the water system at my house. And the answer is air. You get air in your water system naturally. The tank isn't full, the rest of it is air. Your RV sits for a long time, air gets in the lines. Air combined with moisture allows bacteria to grow. Plus, with the water not regularly flowing, there's a lot of opportunities for bacteria to grow. So it's really important to sanitize your water system. I've seen several RV technicians do videos and posts where they cut open a hose and show you how bad it can be. So please consider doing this. How often do you need to do it? Well, it's best to sanitize your RV's water system when you de-winterize at the beginning of the year, if you're somebody who has to winterize. When you de-winterize, go ahead and do it then. Beyond that, experts recommend that you do it every time your RV sits for a month or more. So if you're a full-time RVer, you probably don't have to do it that often. Back when we were full-time RVers, I did it about quarterly. But if you leave your RV sitting for a month and you're not camping in it, it's probably best to sanitize your RV's water system. So here's how you do it. You've got a couple of options. Most people use bleach to sanitize their water system, and that's a fine thing to do. It's cheap, it's readily available, and it's easy to use. But today I'm gonna use this stuff. This is Camco's TastePure Spring Fresh freshwater system cleaner and deodorizer. The processes are fairly similar between this and bleach, so you can still follow along. The only real difference between using this and using bleach is experts recommend that you leave the bleach mixture sitting in your system for at least 4 hours and more if possible. This is done in 10 minutes. So it's really convenient if you're somebody who does really want to do this often and not be inconvenienced by the fact that you can't access your water system for the time period while it is being sanitized. So this 1 gallon jug is good for up to 100 gallons of freshwater capacity. If you're using bleach, you're going to use a 1/4 cup of bleach per 15 gallons of capacity in your tanks. So if you have a 45-gallon tank, you're going to use 3/4 of a cup of bleach. I'd probably just throw a full cup in. Don't use too much extra though, and use like the most generic bleach. Don't use like the scented or non-splash type bleach. Just use the most generic cleaning bleach that you've got. And the first step to sanitizing our water system is we want to drain down everything as much as possible. If you're de-winterizing, you probably don't have anything in your water tank already, so that's helpful. But you want to open your tank drain and let your freshwater tank drain completely. And you want to open your low point valves that drain out all of the water from the lines in your RV. Now, to help those low point valves drain, what you want to do is turn off your water pump, go inside, and turn on all the water inside your RV. Allowing that air in will help the water drain out a lot easier. Once you've done all that, go ahead and go back and close up all of the water faucets inside your RV. Now, it's best to do this somewhere like where I'm at right now, a full hookup campground, or in your driveway if you have access to water and sewer there, but you're going to be draining a lot of water onto the ground. So it is ideal to not do it in like a muddy campsite or a campsite where you're gonna run a bunch of water off over onto your neighbor's campsite. You're gonna make a big pool, a big puddle, a big mess. You're going to be draining your water system a couple of times. So it's important that you have a place where you can do that. And again, if you're using bleach, you need time. I actually think the best time to do this is on a travel day. And let me tell you why. You're gonna put this solution, whether it's some sort of manufactured cleaner, deodorizer, or a bleach mixture, you're going to put that into your tank, and it's not going to reach the top of your tank. You're gonna fill that tank up, and the water's going to get to the overflow, and it's going to run out, and it's not gonna reach the top of the tank, the actual top layer of the tank. So if you do this on a drive day before you start driving, then it can start sloshing around in there and cover all of the surfaces. If you can't do it on a drive day, or maybe you can just drive around the block if you've got a motorhome, or it's easy to hook up your trailer, one thing you can do is pull up all your jacks and just rock your RV back and forth a bit to try to get that water sloshing around in there. But we've gone a little bit ahead. So let's talk about actually doing this process. We've drained out all the water from our system, including your water heater. If you have a tank water heater, you do want to drain your water heater as well before you do this. Then close all that stuff back up, close the valves, close the low point drain, close the freshwater tank drain, and then start filling your tank with about 1/3 of a tank of water. Once you've done that, you can add your solution. If you're using this stuff, you can pour it right in. If you're using bleach, I would take that 1/2 cup, 3/4 cup, 1 cup of bleach and pour that into a 1-gallon water jug. Fill it the rest of the way with water. So you're not just directly pouring straight bleach. You've already started to do a dilution of bleach that you're pouring into your tank.
More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by Electric e-bikes. The Electric XP4 builds on the versatile, high-performing, and award-winning design of the XP model. Beloved by more than 400,000 riders, the XP4 carries on the tradition of the ultimate utility bike, built with an abundance of upgrades to the undisputed industry standard for foldable electric bikes. The XP4 includes a fully redesigned frame, new colors, a full-color display, hydraulic brakes, and an 8-speed drivetrain, in addition to a new option for an upgraded, more powerful 750-watt motor and longer-range battery. The Electric e-bike's XP4 still starts at $999, the same price it's always been, and the holiday season is the perfect time to buy because beginning in November, Electric is throwing in a ton of free accessories with each bike purchase. Head over to Electric e-bikes, that's Lectric, ebikes.com for more information.
So I'm going to give this funnel a shot. I haven't tried this thing out yet, but this is what I'm going to use. This, I just picked this up at my hardware store. It screws on to the top of a jug like this, and it actually has 3 different size sets of threads in there. So I can actually, if I line it up right, I already tested this once, and it took me a couple tries, but if I line it up right, get it on there, and now I've turned this into sort of a funnel. So that's what I'm going to use. If you don't have a gravity fill on your RV, meaning to fill water into your tank, you actually have to hook a hose up. You don't have an opening where you can pour water in. One thing you can do is use a funnel to pour the solution into a hose, then hook the hose up to the water spigot and run it through. And that will allow your mixture to go into your water system. It may take a couple times because your hose might not have the capacity to hold all this. I have a 65-gallon tank, so I'm gonna use about 2/3 of this, but I don't know that my hose would be able to handle all of it at once. But that is one thing you can do, is just pour it into your hose and then hook the hose up and let the water come in.
It's important to not have any water filters in line when you're doing this. You don't want the filter removing any of the sanitizing solution.
So once I've got the mixture into my tank, I'm going to continue to fill that tank until it is completely full. So for me, that means I'm going to be watching the overflow and waiting for water to overflow out of the overflow of your tank. If you ever see that happening, that's normal. If you've always been concerned about that, that's absolutely normal. You have an overflow on your tank that starts to spew out water once your tank is completely full. So once I've done that, since I'm only doing a little 10 minutes situation here and I don't have the RV hooked up to drive around, I'm gonna rock my RV back and forth a little bit. And then I'm gonna go around to all the water faucets and I'm gonna open each side, the hot and the cold, for about 2 minutes each. This stuff doesn't really have much of a scent, so I'm not gonna smell it coming out. If I was using a bleach mixture, I would be able to smell the bleach coming out, and that's when I can stop running the water from each side of the faucet. But because I'm using this, and that's one of the advantages of this, because even after you've flushed your system multiple times, you're still going to smell bleach for a while. But because I'm using this, I'm going to set a timer and run each faucet for 2 minutes. I have a tankless water heater. If I had a tank water heater, the first hot faucet that I open up, I'm going to let that run longer because the water heater tank is going to take some time for itself to fill before it starts sending the water out through the system. And I should say that I'm running all of the water through the system using the pump. You're wanting to use the water that is in your tank. Even though I'm at a full hookup campsite, I'm using the water in my tank from a pump because it's got the solution in it to run through all the faucets. If I didn't turn the water off at the spigot and turn the water pump on, both of those things are important to do, then I wouldn't be getting the full solution throughout the system.
I'm also going to take all of my drinking water safe hoses and connect them to my spray port so I can run some of the mixture through them as well. If you don't have a spray port, you'll have to find some other way, like filling up the hose with a funnel and connecting its ends together. Then shake it around a bit so every inside surface gets coated.
And then if you're using this stuff, you're going to wait 10 minutes. If you're using bleach, you're going to wait at least 4 hours, often overnight, or again on a long travel day, so that water's sloshing around in there. And you're going to let it do its job. Once it's done that, you're going to flush the entire system twice. You're going to drain all of the water out, again from all of the lines, doing the same process that we did at the beginning to get all the water out. And then you're going to fill everything up, and you're going to drain it out again, and then you're going to fill everything up, and then you're going to drain it out again. So you're going to do 2 full fills and flushes of your tank, running each of your faucets for a couple of minutes on both sides to let all of that clean water run through and wash out the cleaning solution. Then you can fill back up and you're ready to go. So I hope all that makes sense. It's really not that hard. The hardest thing to do is to find the time to do it when not everybody needs to use the water system. That's always been my challenge, especially back when we were full-time RVers. Now that we're not anymore, it's not so bad. Don't leave this or the bleach solution in for an extended period of time. You could start damaging seals, start drying up seals, stuff like that. You don't want to leave that stuff in for a long time. Sometimes people will drain some of this out into their gray tank and maybe let it sit in their gray tank for a long time. And your gray tank has a seal in it that could be getting dried out by the bleach. So it is important to flush everything entirely through, and that's why I do prefer to do it at a full hookup campsite. So I can drain all the water that's going down my drains. A lot of it's going to come out of the tank when I empty the tank from below, but I'm also running a lot of water into my tanks, so it's best to have a place to dump at. So again, I think it's best to do this on a travel day. You can get the process started in the morning when you're hooking up and ready to go, and then you can finish it out when you arrive at the campsite that you're heading to. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you got something out of this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.